A big hello to you, so great to see you and I hope I find you well. I'm Jenny Kirk, welcoming you up here to Weir Yard. And today we're going to be taking a look at a Can We Fix It project. Now this is something that up and down the country at swap meets, at exhibitions, or even in model shops, there's a lot of models that turn up that don't work, often being sold as for spares or repairs. And actually today we're going to delve into one of these that I picked up for a really great price, but one small flaw just didn't work and had a few cosmetic issues as well. And we're going to see how easy it is to turn a doesn't work, spares or repairs model into something that is fully functional and back up to scratch on your model layout. And it's a great way to save a lot of money. And in this video I'm going to be showing you some skills for diagnosing faults, for repairing faults with motors and with wiring, and also how to cosmetically clean up a model that maybe has had a rather unsympathetic encounter with some paint. Come with me in today's video and I'll show you how. Today's video comes in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCT decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabrique.co.uk. Additional support comes from...
This is Clark Railworks and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model double O gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com and don't miss out on your latest Loco.
Don't forget as well to tickle that like button, share this video and subscribe to the channel to be the first to know about new videos as and when they go up. You can also head on over to Patreon and help support the channel to keep making the videos that you want to see. And we have underneath the video a full merch store where you can pick up your t-shirts, hoodies, mugs and more in exclusive designs. There are literally thousands of these models out there, and quite frankly, whilst some of them are actually really simple to get back into fully functioning order, a lot of model shops just don't bother because they just don't have the time. So it's a great opportunity to get yourself a really great model at a really great price. So come with me, let's take a look at today's project. I've been asked a lot of times about how easy it is to repair models, and I guess this is born out of the fact that sometimes there's some really great bargains out there if you're prepared to put in a little bit of legwork. And so to that end today I'm going to be trying to do just that and reviving a locomotive that I've picked up quite cheap, second hand, sold as spares or repairs, because it just doesn't run. It also came without a box. And it's missing a set of steps just there at the cab back. It has got them on the other side, but other than that it does look to be pretty fairly complete. And I do like these 45XX prairie tanks from Bachmann. The earlier ones are not DCC ready, but I've already checked out this. When I bought it, paid £20 for it because it was a non-runner. But it doesn't have the split chassis or anything, and I can see from the wheels that this has done some running, but we've also got some speckles of lime green paint. I'm guessing somebody was getting a bit gung-ho with a modelling project and forgot that this was in the splatter line and unfortunately just left it to dry onto this. So today we're going to see, can we fix it and get this up and running? So first up, sold as spares or repairs, non-functioning. I've got my 9-volt battery, and this is a great tip for you if you're going to shows. Get yourself a 9-volt battery. Make sure it does have a charge. There's no point in pressing it till Loco's going, oh, none of these work, if your battery is flat. But you can bridge the terminals across the wheels And this works as well in with HO models, N-gauge models as well. If you turn the battery to one side, you can get a good idea on whether or not there's going to be any kind of life to this model. And I guess first up, let's take a look and see, can we see, is there any kind of issue with the pickups? I suppose that's a first port of call. And you can see there, they're not really quite touching the wheels, but I think we would still get a splutter out of this if we had continuity. They are filthy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my jeweler's screwdriver, and this particular type of locomotive is quite easy. We can take the body off just with, there's a screw at either end. The one at the front can be just a little bit more tricksy. And take that out. So we've got both screws out, and I suppose we should check it's got a motor, and yes it does. We've got a motor wired up, wired, and just looking, so first up, this is probably one of the things to look for. So there we go, we've got a dry solder joint. And, well, I suppose that is our first port of call. It's not going to work if we've got what amounts to a dry solder joint there. What I need to do, I guess, is to resolder that in, and then we can test it. So I'm just going to turn my soldering iron on. So let's get in there and let's make sure that we've got some decent wire. It just looks to probably have been pulled at some time. And it's not uncommon to get some dry solder joints coming about. Find my flux, which is always great for making sure you've got a good join. And the soldering iron is warming up. I'm just going to move the body out of the way. Now, all the cosmetic stuff will come to second, and if you can't get a locomotive running, then you always do have the option of just having something you can stick in a siding maybe. But for now, I've got my soldering iron is warming up there, and let's just see whether we can just solder this up. Even if you're going to go for a DCC conversion, and this will require a bit of extra work for that, it's probably as well, just even as a temporary thing, it's as well to make sure that we can get this running up on DC. Because there's no point in doing a DCC hardwire if the motor is burnt out or some other calamity such as that. So I'm going to tin those wires, and let's just see now, where would this go? I can see a little blob of solder underneath. I'm going to assume that, yeah, that looks to be where it should have been soldered to. So I'm just going to got ourselves a bit of a dry joint. This might be the reason that it had come off in the first place. If we got a dry solder joint, yeah, that is struggling a bit there. So let's get a little bit more flux on. Let's try it one more time. And I think that's enough to test it. So turn the soldering iron off for now. And the let's just see. And there we go. So we've got ourselves a dry solder joint. Was the reason that this was being sold spares or repairs. And even though we looked at those pickups and thought that looked a bit suspect, there you have it. We know we've got a runner, so we can work with that. We'll do a service. It sounds just a little bit dry in there, but there you have it. So £20 to a working model just like that. And like I said before, 9-volt battery is perfect for doing this job. So there we have it. Right, well, we know that this is all going to work, so we can do for ourselves a little bit of servicing. And I guess the best thing to do on this, the bearings do sound a little bit dry, So I'm just going to put a little bit of oil in there, a little bit of oil on the back bearing. Don't drown it in oil, it doesn't need it. And you can introduce other problems which you then have to deal with. Let's get that battery back and let's just run that in. And there we have it. Right, so I'm quite pleased. That was quite a quick and simple little repair there. And often you'll find with these, there's not really a lot to go wrong. If somebody's hacked the circuit board out, then really it's just simply a case of, on DC, don't bother too much, just wire together the pickups and the motor, and job is okay. Now for a DCC fit, we've got 2 wires in from the pickups, 2 wires going to the motor, bish bash bosh, easy peasy. It might have been nice to put in an 8-pin socket, but I'm actually inclined to just do a direct hard wire just for simplicity on this. So I found myself a decoder that I had lying around, and because we're going to be doing some hard wiring, what I'm going to do is, let's just measure it out. So that's going to go into the boiler, and we're going to need almost all of this wiring. So I'm just going to cut it there. All we need are 4 of these. We've not got anything special going on with this model at the moment. Not planning on doing an upgrade. So we need the red, orange, grey and black. So those 4 we need. And these 3, for some reason it's only 3, I think this is only a 2-function decoder. If you were wiring in an ordinary normal size 8-pin, then you would have a green wire as well. We're not going to have that. So I'm just going to neaten these up with some shrink wrap, just in case we ever decide that we want to reactivate this decoder, maybe make use of the extra functions. I could imagine fitting firebox flicker at a later date, but I'm just going to bundle them up, and we're just going to protect those with some heat shrink so that those wires are there should we ever need them, but they're not going to get all bunged up in the motion, get stuck out the side of the body when we try and put that on, or indeed short on something, because you can get some real mystery faults. So that's now protected, and we can get to work on our hard wire. So I'm just going to tin all of these. Red and black go to the track, and orange and grey power the way. Let's get our flux again, and we're just going to tin these wires, and it serves 2 purposes. When we come to solder these to something, then they tend to take a lot better if you've pre-tinned them, but also because this is multi-strand wire, it is a good way of just sticking those multi-strands together. And one more, I think we've got just enough spare solder on there for that. We don't need any of these on the motor. I'll be honest with you, these are part of the suppression, and they can cause a little bit of interference when it comes to actually running on DCC. I've never actually had that problem, it must be said, but I guess it's probably good practice to get rid of those. Just snip them off, and I would suggest putting these straight in the bin because they can be quite sharp, and if they end up on the floor and you step on them, then that is not a great experience. Now we're going to just unsolder these 2 wires. That's one. There we go. So first of all, we're going to do orange and grey, go to the motor. So let's, and it doesn't really matter on DCC which way round you're going to do these. If the locomotive runs in the opposite direction to what you really want it to, don't worry, CV29, you can just change the direction of the locomotive. So there we go, that's on and secure. Orange is going on up here. And that is on. Next thing up, let's just take these off. We don't need any of this circuit board. Again, all of that in the bin, which does neaten things up a little bit. We do get a fairly short wire here, so just be careful you don't accidentally snap these off even lower, otherwise you're going to have to get right in there and resolder from scratch. Now these are a bit short for the device I've got for stripping the wires, and so what I tend to like to do is to brace with a pair of pliers and then with the wire cutters very gently. Don't apply too much force, otherwise you're liable to just rip the entire wire off and shorten it without exposing the bit that you want. And there we go. And then again, tin these wires. And then what I'm going to do is I need a little bit of the shrink tubing. Just want a small bit. So red and black are going to the track. So might as well just match these up like for like. Put the heat shrink tubing on like that. Let's just get a little bit. This could be fiddly because what we've actually got is some very short wires. So let's just try and lean in. Just blow it. That's perfect. Let's get the heat shrink tubing down to protect that. And shrink that down. Just be careful, there's some plastic components on the detailing side just underneath, and just want to make sure that we don't actually damage those with the heat from the soldering iron. It can be quite easy to end up accidentally just zapping things with the soldering iron, doing a lot of damage to detail parts. Oh, nearly forgot the heat shrink there. It's surprisingly easy to forget your heat shrink when you get carried away with some of this soldering. So let's just get those. If you end up with a bit that's sticking out of the join, the problem with that is you can end up where it will actually poke through the heat shrink. And that you don't want, because then that becomes something that can cause shorts. So let's just shrink these down. Shrink it down. And so there we have our locomotive hardwired. I'm going to leave this for a plug-in stay alive. I think actually we should do with just cleaning up those pickups. They look absolutely filthy, and this is also an area that can massively improve the running on these. So you can see there a bit of fluff that has just come out from this. This is what happens when you run trains on the carpet. So if you do that, don't complain about the performance. Instead, clean out your carpet fluff, and actually you'll find that models aren't as bad as you think. So let's just Clean out that one, clean out that one. I can adjust these later. At the moment it does look like the model is fairly happy to run. Oh, that is a huge bit of carpet fluff. So I think the previous owner may well have abandoned this because the running got very poor. Dry solder joint was probably just the kibosh on this build-up of carpet fluff. So that now will also help this out. So I'm going to move on now to that awful green splatter, and this is something that will mar pretty much any model. So I've got some brush cleaning fluid. It's actually white spirit, and I'm just going to dip an old Q-tip in. You don't want it absolutely swimming, but let's see if we can just do something. Work on the basis that the factory finish is a lot more robust than whatever has been splattered on this from a distance, and it's just simply a case of working on those little spots. The Q-tip means that we don't scratch the original finish. That's right into the rivet detail. We'll come back to that, and hopefully what you will find is that the factory finish is absolutely fine, and that green paint will start to break up and disappear. If you get a stubborn spot like that, oh no, it's just gone. I just saw it kind of cracked off and left. That is perfect. This is coming off now. This is actually going a lot easier than I thought. So we're going to move on to, there's a few splatters on the green of the boiler. And again, same deal here. Just with that little bit of white spirit. Actually, it's coming off, I think, because it's a glossier finish. That's coming off a lot easier. Oh, I've just spotted a piece just there. Now this could be tricky. It's gone right underneath that rail. So let's just get that in. Let's try and get it from the other side as well. Now just got to be careful where it says Great Western. That finish may be a little bit more delicate. So we're just going to just try and get in there. There's a little bit of paint underneath. And what I'm going to do, I think, softened it up with the white spirit and just gently, don't apply too much pressure because you may well go through the finish. Just try and loosen that up. And there we have it, gone. I'm going to call that done. So we've got rid of all of that splattered green. Just another quick look around, and there we are, it's all gone, and we've not scratched through the original paint finish. And let's just get ourselves a fine brush, any remaining dust, get right in, gently clean it without risking damage of any of the fine detail. Just in the coal load on the cab roof, and that looks pretty good. So what we're going to do now is start the reassembly, and for now I'm just going to tuck the spare cables up into the smoke box. Quite simply, there's no need to cut any of this off. If you've got the space to tuck it out of the way, keep hold of them, because you never know when actually you might change your mind and decide, you know what, I might just add in some stay alive to this model. Use the tweezers just to work this in. Just take your time and let's just work all of that in. There's extra wires that we buttoned up there. Can just move them in as well, and that should be absolutely perfect. Then we're going to just snug down the rest of the model. Make sure that coupling is not causing a nuisance. And there we go. And then it's simply a case of adding back in the screws that we took out. If you're wondering why there's 3, don't worry about the third one. That came off the circuit board that we removed. Just stick that into your spares box, because you never know when you might need one. And there we have it. So we've got our locomotive cleaned up, repaired, serviced, running again, and for a £20 model, I'm pretty pleased with that. Well, I hope you really enjoyed today's video and found it informative, and just wondering what you think about this little renovation project. Is this something that you really enjoyed? Did you pick up a few great tips, or maybe you want to share with us some of your stories about models that you've picked up for a song and turned into a symphony with a little bit of love and care, and got back up and running? And do you enjoy these kinds of things? Is this actually something that you think is a great way to add to your enjoyment of the hobby? Do leave a comment in the comment section down below. It's always great to hear from you, and certainly it's well worth looking out in there. If you've got any tips to share with your fellow modeler, leave them in the comments, and if you're coming to this, do read through the comments and see if there's some extra hints and tips that you can take on board and maybe help you pick up a bargain and get it running. But until next time, this is me, Jenny Kirk, saying you take great care of yourself. Happy modelling. Bye for now. Today's video comes in association with Trainomatic, makers of DCC decoders and accessories that are designed by enthusiasts for enthusiasts. Find the full range available to order now at tramfabrique.co.uk. Additional support is provided by...
This is Clark Railworks, and this is what we do. You'll know us from Ellis Clark Trains, and you'll get the same friendly expertise with us too. We've got a huge range of pre-owned model railways from all your favourite manufacturers, and maybe some you hadn't heard of before. It's the place to come for quality. We don't stock substandard models, and everything we sell is fully tested and photographed by model railway experts. No matter whether you model double O gauge, N, HO or more, we have sought after models from all around the world, with new listings added every weekday. Check out what's available now at clarkrailworks.com, and don't miss out on your latest Loco.
I'd like to thank everybody over on Patreon, and an extra special huge thanks goes out to our Patreon heroes. Without you guys over on Patreon, we really wouldn't be able to keep making the video content that you see on this channel. And don't forget that you can also head on over to patreon.com/JenniferKirk and check out the different tiers of rewards. Thank you so much. You are absolute legends.